Hello and welcome to the Soul Sync podcast. I'm Jason Paul. Now, in this next episode, we really scratch down a lot below the surface, and we talk about things like mediumship in schools, the difference between spirituality and mediumship, and the fact that you don't need to be spiritual to necessarily be a medium. And it was just such an interesting conversation. So get ready to be inspired and enlightened in our upcoming episode, where we have the privilege of welcoming Carmen Vreeburg, a renowned medium and teacher from the Netherlands, whose journey and expertise are as profound as they are heartwarming. Carmen's story is a testament to the power of listening to one's heart, a journey filled with challenges, discoveries, and immense growth. Her dedication to her craft began with an intuitive sensitivity she experienced since childhood, leading her to extensive studies in psychology and a deep dive into the realms of spirituality and mediumship. Her training at the prestigious Arthur Findlay College has honed her skills, earning her certificate holder status from the Spiritualist National Union in speaking, demonstrating, and teaching. Carmen combines her spiritual work with a passion for photography, capturing the essence of people's souls through her lens. Beyond her professional accolades, Carmen's personal life is a rich tapestry of love, motherhood, and adventure. She's the mother to 3 wonderful daughters. Really, in our conversation, Carmen will share insights from her extensive experience in mediumship and psychology, and how she applies these in various settings, including in schools, healthcare institutions, and businesses. Her mission is to awaken the intuitive essence within each individual, guiding them towards a deeper understanding of themselves and their spiritual journey. This episode really does promise to be a soulful exploration of intuition, spirituality, and the human psyche. Tune in to be part of this enlightening conversation with Carmen Vreeburg, a truly extraordinary guest whose story and insights can inspire us to connect more deeply with our own. Carmen, thank you so much for joining me on the Soul Sync podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me, for having me.
Now, we came to get talking through Paul Jacobs, who said, you must talk to Carmen. And that was how we first came in touch. So to start off with, you are a medium, you
Mhm.
are a teacher, but
Mhm.
tell us about, firstly, your journey and how you've come to be where you are.
Oh, that's a big question.
It is a big question. I know we're going to cram a lot into this hour,
Yeah.
but just to give people a flavour of your
Yeah.
story.
Well, I was in my 20, I was 29 actually when I unexpectedly came on a spiritual evening with a friend, and there was like it was an evening of mediumship, but it was not like a demonstration or a service or something like it. It was more like a lecture, workshop kind of evening. And I was a visitor there. And then all of a sudden, the teacher invited me to come to on stage to do something, but I had no clue what to do. He just, and it was weird, by the way. If I look back at it, I think it's very dangerous what he did, because he was speaking about, yeah, Carmen, you can make a contact yourself. And I was, but I don't know what a contact is.
Yes.
So that was very, very unexpected. And but all of a sudden, he asked me what I felt and what I saw and what I experienced. And for me, it was very natural what I experienced, but I never had a clue that it was mediumship. I thought everybody is seeing what I'm seeing, or everybody is feeling what I'm feeling, but it was not. It was different. And then I realized, oh, this feels so natural to me, and it feels in a way home for me. So then I started to do a lot of workshops and courses and education. And then, but I was working in the media. I was working at the TV station. Was in Holland, and I was working in a totally different world. And I also in a very creative world, because I also worked at record companies, and I worked with artists and A&R department.
Hmm.
It was really nice. And if I look back at it, almost then I was already with people, um, seeing them and helping them to seeing themselves in a sense. So so there is like how do I say that well in English? Um,
Like a common thread.
yeah, that's really good explain. Yeah. So anyway, but after that evening, I did a lot of education for years and years because I think you should study this for a long time. Because what I feel when I discovered my mediumship, it's not only your ability to see and to feel and to hear the other person or the spirit world, but it's also an invitation about how is your soul aligned with your personality. And
What do you mean by that?
well, I think mediumship is an expression of the soul.
Mhm.
That's something that we all have, that we all can have an awareness of the spirit world, but you have to develop it to bring it more to the surface and bring it more into your awareness. But I believe um, that if you really want to study mediumship, it's also really important that your personality, your character and your personality is in line with your soul. Because, okay, when we are coming into this world and we're growing up, we develop a character, an ego in a sense, we a
Mhm.
personality, and we can ask ourselves how much of that character is really us, or is that we are creating it through a life experience, through
Mm.
how people see us, how we grow up. And I believe that mediumship is just also this big invitation of um, coming home in a sense, but also to feel the love and to feel the joy of who we are, but also from the other person. And it gives us awareness about life after this life, but maybe more so about that we are have to live a spiritual aware life and become really aware of who we are. And then we could ask ourselves, who are we really? um, is
Mm.
who we are and what we do in life, is that in line with our soul? Or is it something that is created from the past, from our experience, our trauma, our less nice experience or a beautiful experience or whatever? But I think that's the beauty of mediumship, that it's an invitation also to look at how we approach life in a sense.
How would you say one knows if they're in alignment with the personality and the soul are in alignment? How would I know if I was in that alignment? Or is that just an internal feeling, do you think?
Well, I believe that it's a lifelong journey.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think one day you wake up and then it's
You
there.
suddenly go, oh, I've arrived, Carmen. I've
Right. No,
no.
I think it's a lifelong journey, but I don't want to see it like lessons in life or something. I want to see it like it's an experience in life. And I think that a lot of people, and I did it for years and years, that a lot of people live their lives um, not like we long for it or want it, but more like what other people expect from us, or
Mm.
what we see as successful, or to fit in, or to be seen, or to be accepted. Uh,
Yes.
so, and I think the beauty of mediumship and spirituality and healing is that you are getting an insight about the true meaning of life.
And what do you feel is the true meaning of life?
The tr
Now where you are now.
yeah, well, the true meaning of life is to experience life and to experience, choose the things that really feels right for you. And
Mm.
we know, I mean, the funny thing is, a lot of people are looking also always for a medium to tell them who they are, or tell them, or about life after this life, or about their loved ones. But we all know from the inside, we really know.
It's, I guess, we're all. This is what I go down these rabbit holes, Carmen, and you'll notice this often during the show. I go off on these trail of thoughts, and I guess it's you. You go through life with your experiences, and if you've had a lot of trauma or whatever, you become identified by your past experiences,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's how you become out of this alignment, I guess. And I
Mhm.
can see that in myself, but it's a very vulnerable thing, isn't it?
It is.
Suddenly
It is.
becoming at one with who you truly are. It's very exposing. And I think we all have these defense mechanisms, don't we?
Oh, absolutely, and absolutely. And I think what I learned myself when I came to into mediumship, I was I was young, and I was like, oh yes, mediumship is something that I'm going to do. But now, after 20 years, I know that it's who you are, and that you have to be aware of who you are and work on yourself in sense of accepting who you are. And it's like an embodiment. Mediumship, good mediumship is about embodiment. And it's not something that we do, but it's about, because if you think about it, if I make a contact with the loved one from somebody, I translate like who I am, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
So if I experience life like a glass half empty or a glass half full, that's the way I translate spirit. Do you know what I mean?
So you've got to get to a place where you are delivering it half full.
Yes, I think yes, but I think what I've noticed, because I have to do the journey, of course, like working on myself, and when I came to into mediumship, again, it was something that I thought I was doing, but slowly but and surely, I came to the conclusion that I have to really work on myself, and I had an idea of who I was, but I wasn't, and um, through all kind of life experience, I realized that that how do I explain this good in my English? Through life experience, I experienced that I have to really take a good look at who am I in life, and is that in sync with my soul, or am I doing something that I'm not?
This is a really personal question,
Yeah.
but what was it you had to work on yourself to be able to sort of get to the place where you was feeling more competent in your ability as a medium?
Good question, and of course I want to share that. I was a expert in people pleasing,
Mhm.
and I was very good at as a chameleon, change my energy to everybody that I was able to fit in and to be accepted.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I do a bit of that as well, so I can relate to
I
that.
think I think we all do more or less,
Yes.
and that's but what I didn't really have to work on. So my and it's a I exaggerate a little bit because I want to explain it, but I for a long time my existence was in hands of other people. Is that good to
Yeah, so
like,
you were kind of putting other people as number one, number two, number three, number four. You were somewhere down at number seven, number eight.
yes, but also I could change my own energy to everybody so that I was fitting in. And I had to learn. And there was a certain point in my life, and it's so that's the funny thing I think, from this is that I through personal circumstances I lost everything in my life, my work, my relationship, my house, everything. And that's interesting because at that point you only have yourself. You just only have yourself.
Isn't it funny when you look back with the benefit of hindsight
Mm.
that you had to kind of go to that position to suddenly go, well, now it's me. The only person I'm caring for is me.
Yeah.
But it had to take for it to happen. Because I sometimes look with the benefit of hindsight back at some things that have happened to me, and I think to myself, at the time, that was absolutely devastating. But it's only now I understand why I had to go through
But
that.
absolutely, I'm very, very grateful for that experience, because you come on a certain, if you're losing everything and there's nothing in a sense, and you only have yourself, and you slowly but surely coming back from that, then you see yourself in who you truly are, because there's nothing else.
You said something to me before we started recording this episode. You said to me that there is a difference between being spiritual and spirituality and mediumship.
Mhm.
What
Well,
do you mean by that?
well, I said to you that I believe mediumship is not spiritual. By that I mean is to receive mediumship from a medium is a very spiritual experience. But you don't have to be a very spiritual person to become a good medium.
I would have assumed that one does need to become quite spiritual. Why don't
Well,
you feel that is the case?
because um, how do I explain that? Just give me a moment. You edit this, eh?
We can edit it, but I think that this is part of the beauty of it, Carmen, is the
Okay.
fact that you're having to translate it from one language to another.
Well, okay. I just think I have to find the
You take
word.
your time. Everyone at
Yeah,
SoulSync is in no rush here. We're asking very big questions.
yeah. I love it. By the way, I think it's good to all yeah to think about this and to feel this. Um, well, let's say it for this. I think. Oh yeah. So if I work with my mediumship, it's an expression from my soul. But then you have also your personality, your character, and your personality, and it has nothing to do with your soul expression, if you know what I mean. So
Mm.
if if I know very good mediums who are not necessarily really nice people, and that sounds weird,
Mm.
but that's sometimes how it is. And even I was not always a really nice person. I really had to
Well, I'm
um
struggling to believe that, Carmen.
yeah, no, but of course it's true because we all have these nice sides and not so
Mm.
nice sides, and it's human, it's fine. But I think as a medium, you have a responsibility, so you have to be responsible with your character, with your personality, with your darker sides or whatever you can call them, because we have a responsibility. So if I give a message from spirit and I translate like from who I am, I have a responsibility, and only therefore I want to be really aware of who I am, and that I try always to do my best to be as close to my heart as I can.
Is the reason for that, the reason you're trying to be really true to yourself, is because you need to know yourself so deeply to know what the message you're getting to relay is
Mhm.
actually the message. You have to be so in tune with yourself. Have I described that word? Would you agree with that
Yeah,
statement?
yeah, I agree. I
Okay.
think, well, the more you do on that personal development and that spiritual awareness, soul awareness of personal development, I think the more pure your mediumship is, and the more soulful the mediumship is,
No,
maybe.
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you teach a lot of mediums, aspiring mediums now, and people who are on that journey. And your course, yeah, I've seen some of your courses and they look very interesting.
Mm,
Talk to us more about what you're passionate about trying to teach people, because I know here that we're talking about mediumship in general and people starting to get towards medium, but there's also a lot of people who I've maybe learned that they can connect to spirit.
mm.
Okay, I don't know much more than that, Carmen. It sort of comes to me sometimes
Yeah.
and it doesn't to others. And it's when I'm in a place of high energy, like a college or something,
Mm,
I'm on. But then when I come back into the normal world,
yeah.
um, I'm struggling to connect. So tell us about your passion in regards to, I want to get a bit deeper on the subject of
Mm.
mediumship.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what my passion is, first and foremost, I think mediumship should be a thing that's going to be teach in schools in a sense. Why? Because I believe mediumship will bring people to themselves so that people can give expression from their soul. And I don't believe that everybody who study mediumship must become a medium, because I've seen from my practice that a lot of people who are studying mediumship just like integrated in their job. So I have like, for instance, I have a lot of judges and police and all kind of people from all walk of lives and all kind of jobs. And it's amazing. Like I have recently I have a woman who was on my courses, and she is a child judge. So she is especially specialized for children and judging. And she was very sensitive and always felt everything. And she came on my lessons, and she doesn't want to become necessarily a medium, but she just want to understand what she was constantly feeling and was aware of. And she studied for, I think, 4 years with me, and she still doesn't want to be a medium, but she's doing her work more from a soul space than from her mind only. And she's very smart. I mean, she's a judge, so she's very smart. But she was able now to have a good balance between her sensitivity and her brain. And she is still a very good judge, by the way. And but she feels she could do it with more from a place of passion and understanding, and I have a better understanding about life and about, for instance, she told me that I see now that people can behave very bad, but there are also souls, a good soul with a bad behavior, if you know what I mean.
You said something very interesting, which was you feel that mediumship should be taught in schools. You're the first person who's ever said that. And as soon as you said that, I suddenly thought to myself, that's such a great idea.
Well,
What do you think it would give children? What to teach them this
well,
at a young age? And how would
honestly,
you?
yeah, okay. I will explain a little bit more. I taught on schools, by the way.
Mhm.
On schools in Holland, but of course not purely mediumship, because I don't think you should purely mediumship teach on for little children, but intuitive awareness should be a must. It must be, what I wish for is that in the future, like mediumship should be something normal, should be something that we are. Uh,
Mm.
and if you start with validate children's their sensitivity and acknowledge their sensitivity, I think that's a big step. And I
Yeah, I
think,
agree with you on that. Because where do you learn that? You're almost, as a child, kind of thrown out there at the end of school, and then you've got to learn all this. Because there's been a lot of things I thought that children should be taught more, about money and about the world that we live in and about debt. And, when I left school, I didn't even, if you told me that a credit card cost 12.5% APR, I probably would be able to tell you what that looked like in monetary terms, Carmen. But
yeah,
that probably
yeah,
says more about the
yeah,
school I went to than anything.
yeah.
Um, so when people are coming to you as a medium, what are you tending to find are roadblocks people are coming across when someone is trying to develop to become a medium? Is there kind of a common line of threads of things that people have got to work on, or is it very personal to each person? Just delving into your experience of teaching mediums.
Yeah, well, of course, there is a technique, and there are several techniques and a lot of experience and practicing. But I think it's not only the mediumship that should be practiced. It's also, again, your sensitivity and your expression as a human being, because a lot of people found it really difficult to having words for their own feelings. So
Mm.
then also, when you're studying mediumship, you're translating in a way a spirit, so you have to give words to that. So it's not only, I truly believe that the personal development, again, and spiritual development and mediumship, which is two different things, but they should be combined, in my opinion, always, always. I'm personally, I couldn't do it separately.
Do you connect to your guides on a regular basis?
Yes.
And have you got to know them on a personal level, would you say?
Well, well, I know that they are there. I know that they are working with me, but I'm not constantly in touch with them about what they are doing and where they came from and that kind of, because I'm not personally very interested in it. Sounds weird, but I'm not. I know that I have to do my work, and I know that they are there when I work, and for me, it's fine.
That's quite interesting, isn't it? Because if I would think that you would almost be wanting to have daily downloads of information, but you choose to keep them there for the work that you do and not necessarily for your, you know, kind of life outside of the
No,
mediumship.
because I believe I have to do that myself.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think, um, yeah, well, that is interesting because, yeah, actually, no, I never have any conversation with my guides about my personal life. Maybe to God, but
Mm. Do you know why that's interesting? Because I think I'm one of these people where something really funny happened to me the other day, right? Shall I tell you a funny story? This is
yeah,
totally taking the topic off conversation off on a different tangent, but I've got a friend that I met at the Arthur Findlay College called Melissa.
yeah.
And after the first time that I'd been, I'd recorded a meditation, taking the best bits, a bit of from this teacher, a bit of this teacher, a bit of this teacher, about sitting in the power and connecting to spirit. And I
Oh,
made this meditation and then I sent it over to a few people from Arthur Findlay, Melissa being one of them.
yeah.
Anyway, a couple of months elapsed, and me being me with a bit of ADHD brain, I was reading books, going online, doing this, doing that. Then I start a podcast where I'm interviewing, people like yourself, world leading mediums. And then a few days ago, Melissa said to me she's having great success connecting to spirit with
Mm,
her guides and everything. And I said to her, Melissa, how are you doing that? She said, Jason, I'm just using the meditation you sent me. And I just burst out laughing because I thought that I've taken the long way round the houses of reading a million books and whatever, not just keeping it simple. And she
mm,
showed me that she didn't question it. She just got one thing, stuck with it for 3 months,
yeah,
and it worked for her. Whereas me, I'm always trying the next thing, next thing, next thing, because we live in this
yeah,
world now, don't we, where it's just like
yeah.
information overload. And having an ADHD brain, I'm always going from one thing to the next, but it just made
Oh,
me
I'm the
laugh.
same. I'm the same. I'm the same.
Yeah, but to bring this back to you, Carmen,
Mm,
and the reason you led me off on that trail of thought was because I'm one of these people where even if I think I get a download of something from some higher source, I
mm,
think I have to go on the painful journey of going round the houses. Even that thing with Melissa, I think is a prime example of how if I'd just done what she did and stuck with the same thing that she did, which was my own voice, I could
mm.
have been further ahead. But I feel that I have to, for some reason, go round the houses and know every single
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I
You have
wonder
to
why
do.
we do that.
Because we grew up in that way. We go to school, we have to work really hard for success. We have to study, and we have to again work really hard for a kind of reward in a sense. And this is again mediumship is simple in that sense that we have to sit and to become aware.
It really boils down to, and this is one thing that keeps coming up, is sitting in your power. And
Yeah,
I'm becoming much better. Do you know what? I've even found to understand what that is to be very complicated, but it shouldn't be complicated because it's just sitting in your own.
yeah. Well, what I did for a long time, and I'm still doing that, is just sitting with myself without any purpose. So we human people, and we want to have a purpose with it. We have a purpose, and then we accomplish something, and then we did it. But what I've learned with this is that I have to sit with myself and just get to know my own energy, and then you can sit with spirit and get to know their energy, and then you know the difference. And I think in mediumship it's really important to distinguish what's your energy, what's the energy of the other person here, and what is the energy of spirit like. And to get to know all these different energy, that takes time. But I think the first big step that you can take is learn your own spirit, to get to know yourself, to get to know your own energy.
And it's a very slow process. It's not. I'm finding it's not something that. But again, maybe Carmen, it's because I'm going back round the houses again.
I think so. I think it's closer to you than you think.
They are. Do you know what? So recently I've started saying to myself because I was. This is another funny story, Carmen.
Mm,
I decided that meditation was really important. And for
mm,
some reason, I bought a silly meditation cushion. I was trying to do it in what felt like the lotus position.
yeah.
And it was becoming a chore because I was never comfortable. Because it was not a comfortable position. Then another thing my friend Melissa said to me, and she's going to come on an episode soon. She's so funny because we're both kind of at the same stage of our mediumship. And the other day she was saying, I can't see where is, I'm seeing stuff in my third eye. And even conversations like that are funny. But I think that it just goes back to keeping it simple. Why not just sit in a chair, Carmen? Why was I trying to sit cross-legged upright?
Yeah, but you know what I do? I would never sit on a cushion or whatever. I surf. I'm a surfer. I love to surf.
Oh,
I love to be in the waves. And that's the ultimate meditation for me. So I think you don't have, you have to find something that suits you. And with surfing, I don't know if you ever surfed before, but it's not easy to be on a board and then try to get the
no.
next wave. You have to focus and you are with nature, and the only thing you can do is surrender to it. And that is my
Mm.
form of coming into that space. And now, because of that, now I'm able to find that place easy. But I started with it when in my surfing actually.
It's funny because if you'd told me a few months ago in my own development that you meditated on a surfboard, I would have thought that was the last place you could have meditated. But actually, now I'm starting to understand that the purpose of meditation is to be an empty vessel.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
That's
and I've
the
only
thing.
just recently learnt that myself.
Yeah, and sitting, sometimes I found it quite nice to sit in my garden and with I'm a rose. I love roses, the English roses. I have them all here in Holland. And I'm sitting with them and I can really sit still with them and being at peace with myself. But it took me years, and in the beginning, I had to do something active where I could only be with nature, water, and with the sea. Um, and then I found slowly but surely, I found that place to sit with myself. But also, if you're going into nature or sporting, or I think it's just in what you said earlier. I think the idea is to become really quiet in yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, but I think I have a little bit of the same. I'm also my mind going everywhere all the time, very creative, and I need that. And I love the creative process always when something comes to you and you make it something alive in the world in a creative sense.
Mm.
I love that.
Well, it
That's
was even.
also that's also a form of mediumship, I believe.
It is. It's when you get these brainwaves. It was like even the Soul Sync podcast. The thing that I thought of originally was a Law of Attraction podcast about a year ago, and it just came to me one moment in a jolt. Soul Sync, and it's funny how I can totally relate to you because every now and then you get a thought, and the
Mm,
thought I would describe it as there's a difference between a thought and a spark of that kind of intuitive kind of thing that comes to you because I think thoughts are heavy.
mm.
And when you get that, it feels so fresh. When the soul sync came to me, it wasn't a thought, it was just that like the light bulb had gone on up there.
It's a
Um
deeper knowing. It's like you knew.
oh
You knew.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels different. But I think again, this goes back to being in touch with yourself, doesn't it? And knowing the difference between
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Would you say there's just to go back to people training to become mediums? Let's say, sort of speaking in general terms, then someone wants to develop their mediumship. Have you got particular advice that you would give people based on all your experience of training different people?
Yes. Well, first of all, I would suggest to also take a moment to spend with yourself and then ask yourself, why do you want to develop it? Why? And if you know the deeper intention behind that, that's a good start, because is it about you want to know more about life after this life, or is it something about helping people? And then if you want to help people, you can do a lot of other things as well. So I think it's good to know why you want to do that. And if you know why, then it's good to starting to get to know yourself, and then get to know spirit. I think that's the good, how do I say that? A good rhythm.
Road, yeah, flow.
Flow. That is it. Better word. Thank you.
What would you say that the spirit world has taught you? What impact have they had on your life and the way you live your life now? Because you also said something before we started recording, which is this is as much about how you live your own life now on Earth as it is about what happens afterwards. And that did resonate with me, and I'll tell you why. Because when I started to feel that I could sense the spirit world, you then sort of get so absorbed in it that it can take you off. And then I've had to go back and go, actually, no, I've got all these other priorities. But to answer the question, what do you? I've forgotten what the bloody question is now. Carmen, I've gone off on such a rabbit hole. The question is,
Yeah.
people want to develop their mediumship. What more generally can you advise them to do as well?
Well, do it, enjoy it, play
Yes.
with it, because a lot of people take it very serious, very serious, which is good. It's good to take it seriously, of course, but also,
Mm.
well, it's good to know, why do you want to do that? So why do you want to develop it? And I think and that the answer on that question, then you know what to do actually. I think, I mean, I had some people came to me, they say, okay, can I be in 1 year becoming a medium or becoming a professional medium? And then I think that's the wrong starting point, because
Mm.
you have no idea. I think most of the people will study mediumship for their personal development. And or maybe you are a musician and you want to download more music, or more writing your own music, or writing books, or, and I think that's what life needs, actually. I think we need people in every kind of jobs or every walk of life become aware of the spirit world and become of the soul that they are, so that they can give fully expression of who they are in life. Um, I think
I,
that's what life needs, because if you're like a doctor, or you are a police agent, or you are a hairdresser, it doesn't matter. If you're really developing this, then every contact that you have with a human being is more in contact and is more in connection. And I think that's what the world needs right now.
I
And
totally agree with you. I think we need it more than ever, don't we?
absolutely, absolutely. And also, I feel, for people who wants to become a professional medium, I think what's really important, that there must be a undeniable longing to serve people, to help people, to be of service. I think that's really, really important.
I remembered the question that I was going to ask you, and then I threw back another question. The question was, what impact does the spirit world have on the way you live your life now?
That I, with my mediumship, have only one goal, one mission, and that is that I want to touch the love of the people, of who they are, so that they can see themselves more in a loving way, and they treat themselves more in a loving way. Because I've learned from the spirit world, that love is the answer, and it is about love, and we are love and light. Yeah, that sounds maybe a little bit.
Oh no, I agree with you. I think it's right.
And I think what's the beauty of mediumship and the beautiful the spirit world is, there's an intelligence. There's really an intelligence of, when spirits come through, there's a big intelligence around that happening. That's
Well, I guess the reason there must be that intelligence as well is they know they have been through this journey on the physical planet, and they are giving us their knowledge from a position of
Yeah,
hindsight as well.
absolutely. They're seeing from a different perspective. So there is a need when they came, because we are not deciding who is coming, they do, and we are just the medium. So if there's somebody, then you have to take it very seriously and very um, giving with all the love that you have, bringing that message, because there's a bigger picture, a bigger intelligence, and they put all the effort in it to come through
Mm.
medium to the other person. So the medium has to be only at surface. That's only what a medium should do.
This does go back to the point you made about children, because if we were all kind of taught and acting in line with our intuition in the first place, then maybe mediums wouldn't even need, there wouldn't be such a need for them.
Agree. Agree. But just set the record straight. If, of course, I don't mean literally that we should teach mediumship on schools, but we have to teach to start with intuitive development or intuitive awareness so that we can acknowledge the sensitivity in children. And I think then mediumship is becoming more natural for them
Mm.
already, or when they have a
Do you
long.
know something interesting about that as well is maybe back 20, 30 years ago, children developing their intuition maybe wasn't as needed, because I think now we can be told by so many influencers, experts, everyone proclaims to be, we're always giving our,
Yeah.
where am I going with it? I'm trying to say that we're not really,
Well,
as
we
as
became
young people.
very consuming world. So we are always looking outside of ourselves. So we need to get something from somebody to make us feel better.
You've hit the nail on the head there, Carmen. I don't think I could have put that better myself, actually.
Mhm.
This has been the most fascinating conversation so far, and I think we've delved into many different aspects of mediumship. Is there any last thoughts you would like to leave us with, Carmen? Not to put you on the spot at all.
Mhm. Um, well, yes, if I hope that I can encourage people to study mediumship, but then mostly study yourself and the reason why you are here, and live your life um, in inspired and in touch with spirit, but to live the most soulful life you can live. That's what I wish.
I think that's a beautiful way to end the show, because that really is what it's all about, isn't it? It's about being in touch with oneself, and I can speak as well that it's definitely not a destination, is it? It's a journey. So Carmen, it's been delightful. Thank you so much for coming on to the Soul Sync.
Thank you again for the invite. I'm very honored. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
wow. Now, wasn't that the most heartwarming episode? Do you know what? I really think that nourished my soul more than anything. I loved that conversation with Carmen. A big thank you for joining me on another enlightening episode of Soul Sync. If you want to stay in the loop with the Soul Sync podcast, it's easy. Simply hit the follow show button wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And by following me, you are really supporting this podcast, as it allows me to continue to get world-class speakers onto the show. If you do enjoy this podcast, could I ask a massive favour? Please take a moment to leave me a review wherever you tune in. Firstly, your feedback means the world to me. It puts a smile on my face, and it also makes it easier for others to find the Soul Sync. I do thank you all for being part of this incredible journey. If you want to get involved in the conversation with our community, as well as hearing from me with off-podcast content, look at the bottom of the show notes where you'll find my Facebook page and newsletter function. If you have suggestions for future episodes, or there's a guest you'd love to see featured, or if you have a story you'd like to share with our wonderful audience, simply email me at hello@jasonpaulmedium.com. Your stories and ideas are the heartbeat of Soul Sync, and your input is invaluable in shaping the soulful conversations I bring to you. I'm Jason Paul. You've been listening to the Soul Sync. Until next time, goodbye.